Chronicles of the Grim Reaper, The Dreams We Keep by Griz Calderon. Long before humans told stories about unicorns, they existed. They did not live beyond an unexplored mountain or in a forest hidden from human eyes. No ship could reach them, and no traveler could stumble upon their tracks. Their home existed beyond the reach of the human world, in one of countless places where life had taken root throughout creation. The Grim Reaper knew them all. Wherever life existed, he could go. The shape of the creature did not matter, nor did the world beneath its feet. Every mortal life eventually reached its final moment, and when it did, the Grim Reaper could cross boundaries that no living creature could. The world of the unicorns was one of the places he visited. Mountains rose beyond broad grasslands, their distant peaks catching colors that did not exist in the human world. Rivers carried clear water through valleys where flowers turned toward passing creatures. At night, bands of unfamiliar color appeared among the stars. Penelope had been born there. Like all unicorns, she resembled the horses that would someday become familiar to humans, though her body was lighter through the legs and more slender through the neck. Her ivory coat darkened slightly along her back, and a long, pale mane fell against her shoulders. Large feathered wings folded along her sides, strong enough to carry her high above the grasslands when fully spread. At the center of her forehead grew the feature that would one day make her kind recognizable to people who had never truly seen one. Her horn! It had been small when Penelope was born, little more than a smooth point beneath the hair of her forehead. As she grew, it lengthened and developed the gentle spiral carried by adult unicorns. Her wings grew with her as well. What began as soft feathers pressed against the sides of a foal eventually became broad wings that Penelope had to learn to control. Her parents looked different from her. Her mother's coat was pale gray, and silver touched the feathers along the edges of her wings. Her father was larger and darker, with powerful wings and a long horn marked by a deeper spiral. Unicorns shared the same basic form, but no two were exactly alike. Penelope was their only child. Her abilities appeared gradually. Light came first. When she became excited, her horn sometimes glowed before she intended it to. As a young unicorn, she spent many afternoons trying to produce the light deliberately, only to discover that concentrating too hard usually made it disappear. Her mother waited while Penelope tried again. What her mother taught her about other living creatures proved more important. One day, they found an injured animal near the river. It was broad through the body, with short legs and coarse hair along its back. Penelope had never seen anything like it. She stopped several steps away. Her mother did not. The animal struggled when she approached, so Penelope's mother lowered herself to the ground and waited. Only when it became still did she move closer. A soft warmth came from her horn as she touched it near the injured leg. Penelope watched. Her mother did not know the creature. She did not need to. It was hurt. That was enough. Penelope remembered the lesson. Her father taught her how to use what she had been given. He taught her to fly. At first, Penelope was convinced that having wings meant she already knew how to use them. Her earliest attempts proved otherwise. Her father would rise a short distance above the grass and wait for her. Penelope learned how to spread her wings into the air rather than fight against it. She learned when to beat them and when to let the air carry her. When she landed badly, her father waited for her to get back onto her feet before they tried again. Eventually, Penelope flew beside him. From above, she saw how far their world extended. Rivers became narrow ribbons beneath them. Forests covered valleys she had never reached on foot. Creatures she had once thought strange became familiar shapes moving below. Her father taught her about other abilities too. There were wounds unicorns could heal, and pain they could ease. They could sense fear or distress beyond the reach of their eyes. Their powers were great, but they had limits, and her father made certain Penelope understood them. He also taught her about humans. Unicorns had known humans for as long as humans had dreamed. Her father had visited their dreams, just as the unicorns before him had done. From the earliest generations of people, unicorns had found human children who were frightened, lonely, or grieving. Children sometimes carried pieces of those visits back into the waking world. One might remember the horn. Another might remember wings spreading above them as they flew through a dream sky. They drew what they could remember and told others what they had seen. As they grew older, many came to accept what adults told them. Unicorns belonged in stories. The unicorns knew better. The two worlds could not be crossed by walking far enough, flying high enough, or traveling across an ocean. A unicorn could not simply enter the human world. Dreams were different. Penelope's father taught her how to find them. Her first visits were brief. He remained close while she learned to enter without disturbing what already existed in a child's mind. Penelope quickly discovered that human dreams could be confusing places. A room might change shape. A field could appear where a wall had been moments earlier. Someone who disappeared might suddenly be standing nearby again. Her father taught her not to interfere. A dream belonged to the dreamer. A unicorn could bring comfort into it, but having the ability to change something did not mean it should be changed. During one of those early visits, Penelope found a frightened child. The child was unlike any creature in Penelope's world. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she remembered an injured animal beside a river, and the mother who had walked toward it, without needing to understand what it was. Penelope moved closer. The child touched her nose. Penelope folded her wings and settled beside the child until the fear passed. As Penelope grew, her parents needed to teach her less. She learned when to use her abilities and when simply being near another creature was enough. Then her mother began to grow old. At first, Penelope noticed only small changes. Her mother no longer flew as high as she once had. Penelope slowed her own pace in the air rather than moving ahead. Eventually, there were days when her mother kept her wings folded and Penelope walked beside her instead. On difficult mornings, Penelope brought water from the river. One evening, she saw someone standing at the edge of the grassland. He was unlike any creature she knew. A long black robe covered him from beneath his raised hood to the ground. Inside the hood, there was no face, only a complete black void. His hands were black as well, without the bones humans would later imagine when they tried to give him a form. Beside him rested a long-handled scythe with a single curved blade. His robe moved slightly, although the grass around him remained still. Penelope stepped between him and her mother. The Grim Reaper did not advance. Her mother raised her head. She was not afraid of him. Penelope looked at the dark figure before returning to her mother's side. She lowered herself into the grass and pressed close against her. One of her wings opened and rested over her mother's back. The light in her mother's horn had grown faint. Penelope could ease pain. She could warm the ground beneath them. She could not stop death. So she remained beside her mother. When the last breath came, the Grim Reaper approached. Penelope saw her mother rise from the body in the grass. Age no longer bent her neck or weakened her legs. Her wings opened, full and strong again, and the silver along their edges caught the strange light of their world. Her mother looked back at her. The Grim Reaper waited. Then he carried her away. Penelope understood why he had come. Years passed before she saw him again. Her father had grown old by then. The unicorn who had once waited for Penelope in the sky could no longer remain there for long. His flights became shorter, until one day his wings stayed folded. Penelope kept hers folded too. She walked beside him. When the black-robed figure appeared across the field, she recognized him immediately. This time Penelope did not stand in his way. She went to her father and stayed beside him until his final breath, knowing that the limits he had taught her about applied, even now. The Grim Reaper came forward. Her father rose from the body age had weakened. His wings opened. Penelope remembered looking up as a young unicorn and seeing him waiting above the grass for her to try again. Now he was strong enough to fly. He looked toward his daughter. Penelope lowered her head. Then the Grim Reaper carried him away. What her parents had taught her remained. Penelope continued visiting human children, as her parents had taught her to do. With time, she learned to recognize the faint pull of a child who needed the kind of comfort her world could offer. One night, she felt it again. A little girl slept beneath a heavy blanket in a small room lit by the last glow of a candle. Someone she loved had recently died. Sheets of paper that had once been covered with drawings now sat unused. A small box of drawing sticks remained where the girl had left it. At night, she sometimes cried beneath her blanket when she thought no one could hear. That night, sleep finally came. The little girl opened her eyes in a wide field beneath a sky filled with colors she had never seen. Penelope stood nearby. Her wings were folded against her sides. The girl stared at her. Penelope lowered her head. Slowly, the child approached. A small hand touched Penelope's face. Then the girl wrapped her arms around Penelope's neck. Penelope opened one wing and brought it gently around the child. She remembered her mother beside the injured creature at the river. She remembered her father teaching her that another being's dream belonged to them. Penelope did not remove the child's memories. She could not bring back the person who had died. She stayed and watched over her. When the little girl woke, morning light had entered the room. For a while, she remained beneath the covers. Then she noticed the drawing materials she had abandoned. She climbed from the bed and pulled out a piece of paper. She began to draw the creature she remembered. She drew the slender legs and the body. She added the long mane before carefully drawing the horn rising from Penelope's forehead. The girl stopped. Something was missing. She returned to the picture and added 2 great wings. Later, an adult saw the drawing. The child explained that the unicorn had visited her while she slept. She was told it had only been a dream. The little girl looked down at the picture. She knew what she had seen. Far beyond the human world, Penelope opened her wings beneath a sky filled with colors the little girl would remember but never quite manage to reproduce. She lifted from the grass and flew. The Grim Reaper walked that world too. He knew how many worlds held life and how many creatures humans would never find. One day, he would return for Penelope, just as he had come for her parents. But that day had not arrived. There were still children dreaming. Penelope knew how to find them. The end